Good morning, everyone. This is a re-recording of a presentation that I'm giving at the Transportation Research Board Annual Conference on a joint session on truck parking. I'm re-recording it here for others to be able to see it in its entirety. I'm the founder and president of Real Women in Trucking. And I am on some panels and committees with different groups at the Transportation Research Board, Standing Committee on Freight Planning and Logistics. And I have been working on this NCHRP team for the last couple of years, a guidebook for local truck parking regulations. The principal investigator is Fair and Peers, and our team includes Texas A&M Transportation Institute and Kendick Keast. Real Women in Trucking is a subconsultant, and our part was to conduct driver interviews and do case studies. The study is designed for planners, engineers, and economic development agency, and it aims to address challenges in truck parking and staging. The target audience is cities experiencing significant industrial growth who are reliant on outdated zoning codes and education about truck drivers, why they need truck parking, and, you know, some of their behavior, which is a major component of the study. So the first thing that I like people to know is that many truck drivers do live in their trucks year round. They are in a different town every day. It may be unfamiliar to them. It does not make any financial sense for them to live outside of the truck because they are gone for such long periods of time. There's no bathroom in the truck, and making the decision that you need to stop somewhere to go to the bathroom is about 30 to 45 minutes off of your drive time. So we hear this, it's a lifestyle, but it's more than that. Truck drivers, most of them are paid by the mile. They are not paid by time, and they're exempt from the Fair Labor Standards Act. As a general rule, most truck drivers get 1 day off for every week that they're on the road, and they must accumulate 3 weeks out on the road in order to get 3 days off, and home time is not guaranteed. Once they've exceeded 70 hours and used all their hours for the week, they can take a 34-hour reset, but they are also allowed to do what is called a rolling reset, where they take their recap hours and they just use those and just drive those. So the work is very hard. It's very intense. It's very hard on your body. Truck drivers are the supply chain, and part of this is educating the public and economic development agencies, local governments, to help humanize this issue, to underscore truck parking as an equity issue and relating freight movement to daily essentials like medicine, food, and clothing. Over-the-road drivers, especially those with under 2 years of experience, struggle the most with truck parking. Finding it is not taught by companies, and maneuvering into difficult spots is also not taught very well. Some of the reasons for truck parking that we cover in the study are the emergency parking when you have a weather shutdown, sudden mechanical failure, staging, the federally required 10-hour sleeper break and the 30-minute break, and then home time. Whenever drivers park, they are targets for crime. They are hauling thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars of cargo. And the irony is they are held responsible for that cargo. Sometimes they are taken, their picture is taken inside the trailer with the cargo, and then they're put out on the street to fend for themselves. The companies mostly will not pay for paid truck parking. And so it puts you in a predicament like Jason Rivenberg, who was murdered, like Michael Baglin, who was burned and killed inside of his truck. And the lower picture is my own tractor when my trailer was hijacked. Bathrooms are something that you're always seeking when you're a driver. When we go to shippers and receivers, we're often denied the use of the bathroom. So when we go to other truck parking areas that don't have a restroom, there will be a biohazard situation. There is no reason to not have a bathroom where trucks park. These are basic human needs. I want to say one more thing before I move on to the next slide. If you can imagine that as a company driver, you're issued a piece of equipment that's worth between $300,000 and $400,000, and it's 75 feet long. And you are expected to figure out what to do with it on your own. Like I said, most companies will not reimburse the driver for paid truck parking. So it is an out-of-pocket expense, and it is not a tax write-off for company drivers. That's very important for people to understand. I took this picture last time I was in Washington, D.C. in September. It is a portable, solar-powered, climate-controlled, ADA accessible bathroom for the homeless. Below it is a United Rentals portable restroom. It's often used for movie productions and restaurants during renovations. Janitorial service maintenance to these restroom units can be included in the contract rental terms. Truck parking should always include restrooms with hand washing facilities. It is not acceptable to have a porta potty that is never serviced. It's an unhealthy thing. It's inhumane. So we hear about a lot of transportation equity initiatives, but I never hardly ever hear anything about truck drivers. So when I travel using other modes of transportation, like going on an airplane, going in an airport, walking around the campus of a college, using public transportation, transit, I see things that would actually benefit truck drivers that have really not been thought about for them. Um, Making people feel safe, the cargo feeling safe, the luxury of water. And truck drivers are responsible for moving critical goods. So a long time ago, before there were cell phones, drivers would leave messages on bulletin boards, and before there was Google, they would leave messages on bulletin boards at truck stops for one another for various different things. And as social media has risen, drivers have really adapted to social media. They use it in all different mediums, and a lot of the things they post are messages to help one another. And one of the things that you all can do as planners is look at your own area and go to Google Maps and put in distribution center, and you will see the distribution centers in your area. And you will also see near or around them other shipper facilities that you may not even know are in your neighborhood. And drivers post comments on there about how to approach the facility, how many hours it took for them to get loaded or unloaded, whether they were able to use the bathroom, whether they were able to park on site, and any particular problems they had, like they were loaded overweight, or the way they were treated. So these Google reviews are very valuable to drivers, and they use them to look at their pickup and drop off location. And they're very helpful for planners to know what they're saying about these places. So during the first Jason's Law driver survey that was done by drivers. I was a project manager and I did it with Hope Rivenberg, who is the widow of Jason Rivenberg that Jason's Law is named after. We asked a question of the drivers to list 3 of the top worst problem shippers and receivers that would not let them park. And a lot of the drivers were very hesitant to name names because there is a lot of retaliation in this industry. But we were able to collect over, I think, 1,300 comments. And from that, we were able to make an alphabetical list of names. This list I have now made available on our website, Real Women in Trucking. If you go to our blog section and scroll down, there's a list of these problem shippers and receivers. It's a PDF that you can print out. If you are letting one of these shippers and receivers into your community, you are going to have a truck parking problem. If you know their names, you can negotiate better to foster a culture to have a shipper of choice. I'm going to go ahead and start talking about paid parking right now. Truck drivers are not using paid parking. Some of it is in protest, some of it is because they just can't afford it. Drivers spend about $300 to $700 a day on diesel alone when they're at truck stops. And these companies claim that they have thin margins on the fuel. But I recently spoke to a truck stop operator, and he told me that each bay must pump 150,000 gallons a day to be profitable, and most do for him. They have between 10 and 15 bays per location. And while he did not want to tell me exactly how much profit he made from that, I said, well, even a half a penny, that's a significant amount of money. And he kind of mumbled, well, we only get about $3 a truck because of the rebates. So I did a little bit of math on both of those figures, and I found out that both come out to be a considerable chunk of change. Drivers are brand loyal. It may not appear that they didn't spend any money at a location where they parked for the night, but they may have actually fueled within the same network at another location earlier in the day, and they're juggling their points to help them offset the high costs of living on the road. And you can see by the prices here on this slide, they are spending money. I was also told that sit-down restaurants don't make any money, and they don't make any money because the loads are scheduled so that you don't have any time to sit down. A lot of the restaurants drivers have access to are questionable in the quality of the food, and you cannot take the chance of getting food poisoning on the road when you have no bathroom. Lastly, some drivers frankly cannot afford a sit-down meal. So the one truck stop operator told me that top ramen was their best selling item, but the markup on it is considerable, almost $5 for just a bowl of it. Some of these diesel sites that are popping up with no truck parking at all, there's some apps that kind of drive traffic to their facility because they have a good discount, and drivers are always trying to find a deal and a discount. But when you have a lot of new industrial facilities in this area, and you have zoned a bunch of fuel stops that have zero truck parking, the drivers are going to come there. They are going to take their breaks there. They are going to be putting a lot of wear and tear on the pavement to get the discount, to get food, go to the bathroom. But if they can't stay, they're going to be roaming around there trying to find another place that they can stop. So it's really something to be thinking about, that you are responsible for ultimately bringing hundreds of truck to an intersection that are going to be going in and out, in and out, in and out when they find out, okay, I can do this, but I can't stay here. There is a place for paid truck parking. Home time is one. Unfortunately, not everybody can afford it. Paid truck parking is a luxury for the privileged, and the ones that need it the most cannot afford it. They're not reimbursed for it. Drivers have been involved in fistfights, stabbings, and worse over truck parking. Truck parking does not lease any of the properties that they have on their platform. They resell truck parking from other people, and they do not clarify whether it's trailer only or bobtail only. And recently they have been going to truck stops to get previously free truck parking and put it into their system. You can't pay cash. You have to pay on a debit card or a credit card, and a lot of drivers don't have that. They are one step up from homelessness. They don't have the things that most other people have. So it's kind of become a shakedown. Pay up or you're going to get towed. We've been seeing Truck Parking Club kind of rubbing it in the rubbing it in the face of drivers of look how much money we're making by solving the truck parking problem. But they're actually not solving anything. They're shaking drivers down. And there's some of the drivers that are the most affected by it that can't afford to pay. Experienced driver behavior is trying to park at places that you look forward to stopping at to make it something worth waiting for. This particular location has a good sports bar and grill. It has a Starbucks. It's clean. It has nice laundry. I have actually paid to park here because I wanted to go here. I wanted to be at this location because it had everything that I needed. They also have a bowling alley and an arcade, and I have seen people from the community come there and have birthday parties there at the truck stop. So it's all about what kind of value you're creating, and they vary greatly, these truck stop locations. Tribal casinos value truck drivers. They often see them as their bread and butter. They usually have well-lit, clean truck parking areas, and they have unique food offerings. Some have laundry facilities, good showers, reasonable rooms. So if we build more trusted relationships, these are good ways to help the tribe get more revenue for their travel plazas. But we also have to have build really trusted relationships. There are some downsides. I have heard of some trafficking activity at some places, the jurisdiction problems with truck drivers that aren't acting right. These are things that people need to be aware of when they try to build relationships to build out travel plazas to help the tribe, but also make sure the drivers know how to conduct themselves when they are on these lands. An experienced level driver prefers not to park at a big chain truck stop. Instead, they will fuel in the afternoon. They'll take their shower break when the truck stops aren't so full. For their evening sleeper break, they'll park at a rest area or a family restaurant that allows and encourages overnight truck parking. This particular restaurant up on the top, where there's a Walmart truck, is a family restaurant that offers a CDL discount. There is a lot of adjacent right-of-way there that could be a very great candidate for a public-private partnership to help build adjacent truck parking, but then help support the business. And then it would be their responsibility to maintain it, which is a problem for a lot of states, is the long-term maintenance of it. That is another part of our study. So there's a lot of examples around the country of these kind of family restaurants, Cooper's Barbecue in Junction, Texas. This location is actually across from a pilot that is always packed to the gills. You can barely get in and out of there. I never park there. I go there and I get my fuel, and then I go over to Cooper's, where you can see has a gigantic parking lot, and they have good food, and their parking is never full, but inexperienced drivers do not venture away from the brand chains. Another example is the Dutch Pantry. This is near Pryor, Oklahoma. It's an Amish a restaurant that actually put an area for the trucks to park because truck drivers always are coming through there, and they know that's the regular customers for them. The Powhatan restaurant is another great place. The blue arrow points to the gigantic parking in the back of this great restaurant, but not very many drivers know about it. Experience levels drivers know about it. And then there's Old Rudy's in Jackson, Georgia. This gentleman started a little barbecue shack. That is his lot down there in the lower right. And what they do is at 7 p.m., they come in with a golf cart and they arrange the trucks so that they're more orderly and they can fit as many in as possible. And if you have bought food of at least $15, you can stay parked overnight. But if you haven't, you have to pay the $15. What they have done with the money is improve the lot. They have made an air-conditioned dining area and they've put in restrooms. So these are really great examples of truck parking areas that don't necessarily have to be at the truck stop. So finally, I just want to finish up. One of the examples that's coming out in the study is an example in Baker, California. But for this presentation, I just want to point out that Tesla already sees the value in having services while people charge their vehicles. You have a captive audience, and truck drivers are no different. If you have something of value to them, they are going to spend money. They are consumers too. So it has to be unique. They're not going to spend their money on a $4 fruit cup. They're going to wait and go somewhere where it's something. I mean, I'd buy a pizza made out of the vending machine just to see it get made myself. But, attracting customers requires uniqueness. And so when you put EV chargers in for cars, and these people are standing around waiting and they need something to do, then have something for them to buy. The same needs to be thought about with truck parking. They are no different. And as truck stop electrification happens, those electrified trucks are going to be paying to park. That will make the model of like truck parking club obsolete because they do not hold leases to land. But you do need to have services for the drivers that they will value, what they will spend their money on, and think about it a little differently. So thank you for watching my presentation. This will be on our YouTube and our social media channels. And if you have any further questions, please reach out to me at Real Women in Trucking, www.realwomenintrucking.org. Thank